We are here in the Fan Cave. Welcome to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call as I sip on my nightly tea. I like tea this time of the night. Kind of calms you down. It's been a very busy week. And we know we have a lot to talk about out there. If you want to call us, it's 412-575-2600. That is the number of the Bordas and Bordas hotline. You can call it. You can also tweet at KD Pomp or at Chris Mueller PGH as we take you live up to 93.7 The Fan. Chris joins me there as we simulcast also on the radio. And Chris, before I get into the hockey, because I love this time of year, there are a lot of great games going on, a lot of physical play. We'll dissect the Penguins and Rangers. But first, the move of Devin Bush, not to pick up that fifth-year option, I think is a smart move. It's sort of similar to what happened to last year with Terrell Edmonds and other prominent players. But in doing so, they also obviously admit that they made a mistake in thinking they had something pretty special when it hasn't really panned out that way.
Well, if you like the physical play that is kind of the hallmark, Bob, of the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs, you must have hated watching Devin Bush play because that was something that was distinctly evident lacking. It was evident that it was lacking in Devin Bush's game post-knee injury was any semblance of physicality. I read today, I don't know if you're a fan of Bill Barnwell from ESPN, but by one sort of draft value calculator, when you consider what the Steelers gave up, the second and the third round picks, and then the actual 10th pick that they used in the draft to get Devin Bush, they used the equivalent of the second pick in that draft in terms of pure draft capital to pick a player who had 20 or so good, promising games. I think his first season gets a little overrated in terms of quality, as does the pre-injury time in his second season. He was good, he was not great. And now it looks like it's just a huge failure. I mean, I can't even cite the knee injury here as being the main cause. Obviously, it derailed his career, but he was well past a year in when he still didn't want to play physical football. He didn't want to meet guys in the hole. He just didn't look like he wanted to be out there challenging opposing players the way a person at his position needs to, Bob. And I think the only defense I've heard mounted of him is, well, he hasn't had a full offseason where he's been healthy, and he's been posting these workout videos. I don't know. I'll believe it when I see it. I give them credit, though. I don't know if you ever played poker, Bob. You ever played a little Texas Hold'em. You know your hand is probably beat on the turn. You're almost positive it's beat on the river, but you hang in there, and then you pay to see how badly you got beat because you're pot committed. I'm glad that the Steelers, despite having given up so much for him, didn't feel pot committed into giving him that fifth year that he did not at all deserve.
Right, and it would have been another $11 million essentially given to him when now he has to go out and earn it, and I think that could do well for him. He has to come out and play it, and certainly would benefit the Steelers, and then you can go to another way of doing business after that. You can use franchise tag. You can do a lot of different things if you so choose, but that's a good move for now for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Your assessment of the draft. I gave it a B-. I have my doubts about certain things. Like I thought they should have had at least one offensive lineman in there. I'm not totally sold on what they did in the offseason when it comes to free agency and who they actually kept here on this offensive line. Now, I hope they all kind of graduate to the next level. That would include Chuks Okorafor. That would include Kevin Dotson, who I thought regressed last year, and Kendrick Green and two rookies, Dan Moore. Those guys have got to take a step forward. If they do, they could be fine. But if they don't, do they have enough on the line to protect, especially now, a young quarterback? Well, 24-year-old quarterback, who's your number one pick?
First off, do they have enough to protect? I think they'll be marginally improved on the offensive line from last year. I think what's going to help them is Pickett or Trubisky, and it better be Pickett, by the way, starting at quarterback. Each one of those guys is considerably more mobile and athletic than late-stage Ben Roethlisberger was, so that should help matters a little bit even in and of itself, that the player can kind of protect himself better. I would actually give their draft an A-, believe it or not, Bob. I love both wide receiver picks. There might be a little maturity risk with Pickens, but I think he'll be fine here. That's my gut feeling. Calvin Austin III seems like he's going to be potentially special out of that fourth-round slot. The only reason I give it an A- is we saw it took, 54 picks after the Steelers picked at 20 for Desmond Ridder to be the next quarterback off the board at 74. Makes me wonder, could they have traded down further into the first round, maybe got themselves an extra pick, maybe two if there was a desperate team that wanted a certain player, and still gotten their man in Kenny Pickett. But I actually like the fact that they tried to bolster their offense, and I'm not going to quibble too much with them not maybe reaching for whatever offensive line help was there in the third, fourth rounds or beyond.
We got to take a break here. We'll continue that. Want your opinions? We'll also get into some hockey highlights and whether or not the Penguins have what it takes to beat the New York Rangers, who are favored in this series and quite frankly should be favored based on the regular season. We'll do that. Come back with much more. We're just getting started. It's the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call right here on Pittsburgh CW and 93.7 The Fan. Don't go away.